Welcome back. This is Brave Little Books, and this book right here is Bringing the Shovel Down by Ross Gay. And, oh, what's this? This is Meatheart by Melissa Broder. That's right, we're going to do something a little special this week. I am going to review 2 books of poetry. This is the first ever poetry double session on Brave Little Books. Round 1, Bringing the Shovel Down. With no sections at all, Bringing the Shovel Down moves fast, and it also moves kind of like a thunderstorm moves, with some kind of cosmic rage. This rage can feel arbitrary or disjointed at times, as if the speaker has forgotten its source, remembers the fire but not the spark. But don't take that disjointedness as a sign of poor writing. It actually feels very intentional, and it's everywhere in this collection, especially in the series of prose poems about made-up syndromes. I love these poems because their technicality and simplicity provides a much-needed break from the high levels of emotion in some of the more personal poems in this collection. Each one describes the age range in which the syndrome is likely to present itself, and then Gay describes what the symptoms might be, which are often very beautiful and specific. This one is about a syndrome called the burden, and it's pretty difficult to spot, but one of the symptoms is that if you put this person in a swimming pool, he or she will automatically sink to the bottom. All of these syndromes speak to how deeply we can be affected by certain experiences, and how we can carry those experiences with us long after they've passed. It also speaks to the disjointedness of race inequality that makes a brief appearance in this collection. In the poem called Some Instructions on Black Masculinity Offered to My Black Friend by the White Woman He Briefly Dated, a monologue, Gay leaves the white woman to have her say. This displaces the hurt and rage, perhaps onto us or perhaps just elsewhere into the collection, further blurring the line between action and reaction. But maybe the idea is that that line is always blurrier than we think, that we're all kind of a mess of displaced rage or sorrow or even love. That brings us to round 2, which is Meatheart. So, in Bringing the Shovel Down, the plus side of rage is that it brings you power. But power seems to come from everywhere and nowhere in Melissa Broder's Meatheart. This book can be equally disjointed, but the style is simpler, even if some of the images are totally out of this world. Many of these poems are conflicted about God, and perhaps misplaced prayer. In the poem called Megachurch, the speaker wants holiness to meet her halfway. And in Lonesome Cowgirl, the speaker writes, "As long as I lived with God in my cupboard, I thought I was living with God." In both of these poems, the speakers are conflicted about who has the power in this relationship, and which direction holiness moves. In Meatheart, this seems intimately tied up in modernity, or perhaps post-modernity, the confusion of futuristic images all around us. In a world where everything beeps and glitters and the mail service seems to only deliver glossy catalogs of drivel, this book is about the decidedly unnatural. Or rather, the supernatural and the unnatural. Where does God go when we have all-night burger magic? Does God change as we are changed? Or perhaps power doesn't even work like we think it did. Perhaps it comes and goes like the H1N1 scare. Meatheart turns these questions again and again back to the self and the anxieties that surface there. Every poem in this book has a personal bent, an eye with its own wants and needs. And where power is elusive, perhaps that's what we're left with, our own wants that just go unwanted. So, 2 collections pushing back against the modern world. This is Bringing the Shovel Down by Ross Gay and Meatheart by Melissa Broder. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.